In January this year, a tragedy struck the skies over Porbandar. An Indian Coast Guard ALH Dhruv helicopter went down during a routine training sortie, killing all three crew members. Well, it was second such crash in just 4 months. But this time, the impact would ripple across India's military aviation ecosystem. Following the January crash, India's entire fleet of over 330 ALH Dhruv helicopters were grounded, a move that could extend for months. And this would disrupt operations across all three services of Indian Armed Forces. The Advanced Light Helicopter Dhruv is not just another military platform. It's India's first fully indigenous multi-role helicopter designed and developed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited (HAL). Now, key features of ALH Dhruv. It has a twin-engine configuration, which provides the helicopter a cruising speed of over 250 km an hour. Service ceiling of 6,000 plus meters makes it suitable for high altitude missions, including in Siachen. Its modular design allows for customization, and that's why you'd see Dhruvs transporting troops, conducting search and rescue, medevac, reconnaissance, and even armed attack. The ALH Mark III and Mark IV Rudra variants are weaponized, adding rockets, cannons, and anti-tank guided missiles to its armory. Since its inception in the early 2000s, the ALH Dhruv has logged over 4 lakh flying hours. It operates across Army, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard, which is a testament to its versatility and strategic value. Designed for sea level to Siachen ops, the Dhruv was a shining symbol of Make in India and Atmanirbhar defense movement. But the symbol of self-reliance is now facing its most serious crisis. After January 2025 crash, the HAL recommended the grounding of the entire fleet. The investigation, it revealed that the helicopter failed to respond to pilot inputs in its final seconds, which was traced back to a fracture in the Swashplate assembly, which is a critical component in flight control systems. The same fleet was involved in another crash in September, also which was near Porbandar, and this was done during a medevac mission. But months later, there's still no definitive resolution. Now, this grounding has left a serious operational vacuum. For instance, the Coast Guard 24/7 surveillance and search and rescue capabilities are now crippled. The remote border posts are now relying on outdated Chetaks, Cheetahs, and overstretched Mi-17s. While on the other hand, the Army's Rudra and LCH squadrons are unable to deploy weaponized helicopters. Whereas Air Force's fighter aircrafts, they now operate with minimal or no search and rescue backup in case of emergencies. But what's perhaps most critical is thousands of pilots who are grounded, and despite simulator sessions, they might rapidly lose their flight proficiency. Now, on paper, the ALH Dhruv was a technological leap, but reality has now painted a more complex picture, the one of recurring issues, logistical inefficiencies, and questionable quality control. One of the biggest red flags has been the high frequency of aircraft on ground AOG events. In aviation, an AOG means that the aircraft is grounded due to unavailability of critical spares or systems. And for military assets, this isn't just an operational inconvenience, it's also a strategic handicap. When spares don't arrive or repairs takes months, commanders lose confidence. And this isn't a new issue, it has been reported for years. And that signals a poorly developed operational logistical chain and inadequate lifecycle support. There's also a concern relating to design maturity, because after 20 years in service and 4 lakh flying hours, core systems like Swashplate shouldn't be failing catastrophically. And yet, post-crash analysis show that the flight control issues, they still persist. The kind of problems that you'd expect in a prototype, but not in a frontline helicopter. Why hasn't HAL fixed these issues yet? Because HAL, while talented, operates in a captive environment with little external pressure. And there are no civilian operators of ALH in India, no export clients holding them into account, and no real competitor offering a domestic alternative. So the result, limited innovation, minimal design iteration, and a growing trust deficit among users. The ALH Dhruv was the face of India's dream to be a self-reliant in defense. Under the IDDM, that is Indigenous Design, Developed and Manufactured model, it ticked all the right boxes, at least on paper. But what happens when success is measured in production targets but not in operational performance? So today, HAL's control over design, production, maintenance and upgrades of Dhruv gives it an unmatched authority. But on the other hand, it also raises a fundamental question. Who holds HAL accountable when things go wrong? Unfortunately, oversight agencies like CEMI, LAC, that is Center for Military Airworthiness and Certification, and DGQA, that is Directorate General of Quality Assurance, which should ensure safety and quality, they operate under the same Ministry of Defence ecosystem. And this creates an institutional conflict of interest where judge and jury report to the same system as the manufacturer. There's also a lack of transparency as no detailed public report were released post the September or the January crashes. And this opacity reduces trust not just in the machine but in the entire indigenization process. Worse, no private Indian aerospace company has been able to compete in this space thanks to the entrenched procurement policies and ecosystem barriers. The question now is simple but urgent: where do we go from here? With the ambitious Indian multi-role helicopter program on the horizon, the lessons from Dhruv must be central to the planning of HAL. So here's what they need to change. First is the accountability over authority, as HAL must have an external independent audits of its design, certification and post-crash investigations, and real autonomy for oversight bodies is critical. Second is the operational feedback loop. The services must be empowered to provide technical feedback, drive redesigns, and push back when the platforms fail to meet the mission ends, and not just accept what's being handed to them. The third is opening the doors for private players. India's private aerospace sector has matured. Companies like Tata Advanced Systems, Mahindra Aerospace, and others should be invited into rotary wing ecosystem to create healthy competition. Fourth is transparency and public confidence. Just like aircraft accidents in the civil sector, they are publicly investigated, defense platforms too must offer at least sanitized crash summaries to build public and professional trust. And last is separate research and development and production chains. HAL, or any manufacturer for that matter, cannot continue being designer, certifier and supplier. R&D should evolve independently, benchmarked against global partners and validated through performance, not just patriotism. See, the idea of Make in India was never about replacing imports. It was about building excellence. And excellence, it demands humility, introspection and courage to reform. So to conclude, the ALH Dhruv is more than just a machine. It's a mirror which reflects what India's defense industry can be and what it must improve. Grounding the fleet, I understand it was a setback, but failing to learn from it, it would be a tragedy. And that's all from my side today. Do not forget to like this video, comment with your thoughts and subscribe us for more in-depth defense explainers.